Hi, so I've decided, as a result of feedback on the last video, to make a little mini series of videos where I do my makeup and talk about marketing and do it on a Monday. So it's Makeup and Marketing Monday. Kind of runs, doesn't it? And rather than me just chat generally about marketing from my experience of being a small business owner and being a marketing consultant in the past and marketing manager and lecturing in marketing even, I'm going to do something that you guys do a lot of, which is focus on a specific business book that's popular on Amazon, that a lot of you seem to read a lot of. And I've done it as well. I kind of got into it a little bit. I didn't find many that I really liked, and I found a lot of them quite repetitive. But I found that often the business book had one or two really, really key gems in it and then just padded out for the rest of it. So what I thought I'd do for you guys is summarize the book, but summarize it in a way that makes sense to your business or your goals in life or whatever's going on, depending on the book. So I'm going to focus on one that I really liked actually, which was called The One Thing by Gary Keller. So you can obviously go off and buy it if you haven't read it. I read it 4 or 5 years ago now, I think, and I actually really enjoyed it. I remember I read it on a business trip to London. So on the way there, on the way back. I know some of you are really into audiobooks. I'm kind of more of a visual learner, so it's better for me to read stuff rather than listen to them. But I've yet to really try that audiobook thing that you do. The reason I'm putting tape here is because I'm not very good at creating lines, and this helps me a little bit. And it does sometimes catch some of the fallout because some of the makeup I'm using at the moment is highly pigmented. So I thought I'd go over The One Thing by Gary Keller and chat to you about the sort of key concepts in the book and how they relate to your business. Now, the one thing that was really fascinating when I quickly reviewed it yesterday was the previous video I did that sort of triggered this little series. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's later. The thing that I read that kind of triggered this series, because I was talking about my to-do list and how I don't often get through it, and at least achieving one thing is better than not doing, everything on your to-do list. At least you've done one of them. And I used the make the bed example. And then he said in his book, and it made me smile because I thought, oh, I'm so guilty of that. That's why it's been a long time since I read this book. That often our to-do lists are more like an action list of things that don't really make a difference to our business, just that we feel like we must achieve in a day. Or it could be in the house, it could be in the family. It doesn't have to be about business exactly, rather than the higher purpose of what you want to achieve as your overall goal. So the kind of concept behind this book, and you can see how it would apply. I'm going to do greens today, by the way. You can see how it would apply not just in business, but also in life, is that, I'm just looking for a nice brush, is that we focus far too much on doing lots and lots of things rather than doing the one thing that's going to make a massive difference to our business. So before we know what's really going to, the first thing I thought was, well, we need to know what's going to make the massive difference to our business, which might involve a bit of analysis of what we've done so far and why that has or hasn't worked. Just debating what colour to start with, because I know I'll end up building and building and building. I'm going to try and not blow so much on makeup because I know you're not supposed to. So you have to know what's going to really make the big difference to your business. So you have to kind of ask yourself some very, very key questions here, or at least envisage what might make a massive difference to your business. So for example, a lot of you, including us, do a lot of posting on social media. And initially that did help set my business up, getting known, if you like. But is it making a massive difference now? Well, no. Views are down. I mean, when I first started doing videos back in 2014-15, they would get like 1,000 views. But then I think I was also more active, more well known, like making connections. I was doing all the things. This is something else he mentions actually, that life in balance and achieving a goal is a bit of a fallacy. You know, if you have a big focus and you have to spend time doing that focus, then the likelihood is that your life will get out of balance. So all these people who talk about a balanced life are maybe further down the road in business than you might be, or closer to achieving their goals. Because obviously once you get to where you want to go, you can afford people, you can afford to become more of a manager and less of a doer in that sense. So where were we? So we were talking about finding what the focus was. Initially for us it was Facebook and making connections through Facebook, and I'd had quite a good Facebook profile before I even thought about starting a business, because I was just interested in health and fitness and just connecting with people. And I've been very, very lucky in that some of the people I connected with and got to know really well as friends happen to be really good people, and since then their businesses have taken off. So it's been a thing where you don't achieve much without the help of others, whether that's having a business guru or just having really good connections. That's something to remember. You don't really do a business alone. And that's not just talking about recruiting a team when you can afford to. It's about knowing people, helping them helping you, that type of thing. And you do see a lot of networking on social media. You will see the same people recommending certain people all the time, and those people then recommend that person back again. And it's kind of the way the world's always worked, the old boy network. It's just slightly different in that now it's open to everyone, I suppose, if you have those fields of influence. And if you don't, then just start commenting on people that you admire, and you will soon get your name noticed and people will soon start to follow you. So Facebook used to be our thing, but it isn't really anymore. So what I said to one of the team recently, Dave, was I want you to become the expert on a completely different social media, follow all the gurus, take the free courses. If one turns out to be really good, we'll even pay for a course, you know, pay for the proper course, but take the initial starter course, become the expert, concentrate your efforts in that place, because that can be the one thing, and it might be the one thing that makes a big difference to growing our business in the future. Now, although I know a lot about marketing, because I do, and I've used marketing effectively in the past, I'm not so keen on doing it nowadays. I kind of like just creating a bit of content like this and the stuff that I need to do, you know, the stuff that actually gets sold to members, the recipes and the videos and things. So I'm a bit less, I mean, we are 7-8 years in, so I'm a bit less do everything kind of person. And the thing that the one thing says is you can't be a do everything kind of person, but you equally, when you do focus, need to know why you're focusing on it and what you hope to achieve from it, and then break it down. So for example, your focus might be, well, I just, you know, I'm a health and fitness professional and I just need X many members in my gym or online to make so much money. So what's the best way to do that for you? You have to ask that big question first to be able to get rid of the periphery stuff that isn't really necessary. So you could be posting on like 10 different social media and not getting any traction from any of them. Whereas if you fine-tuned and streamed where you were concentrating your efforts and really going deep on those efforts, not just posting, but following up and messaging and chatting to people and making connections, then you're going to have something that over time, this is the important thing, over time has that domino effect and becomes effective. So I've tasked Dave with looking at one social media for us and really starting to focus on that and build it properly, not just post on it, but actually get involved, get interactions, get into groups, do things like that, and really build our profile on there, because we don't really have a profile on there, and just concentrate on that. And then what's my one thing? Well, my one thing at the moment is, and if you follow me, you'll have noticed this, is that I've been doing a lot of decluttering and a lot of tidying up and decorating and getting the house sorted, which seems completely irrelevant to business and is. Because I decided not long ago that I don't need to build and I don't want to build a massive business. I just want a comfortable living. Where I have a few very happy members and they stay with us and we stay with them and we help them, they help us, and we're all happy, hunky-dory. And I'm not interested in building a massive empire. I'm not in that stage of life. Doesn't mean it's wrong to be in that stage of life. I'm just not interested. What I want now out of life is my little house in the sun and a semi-retirement where obviously I'm still working, I'm still doing the business, but it's for income and, you know, paying bills. It's not going to be a big thing. So my focus over the last 7-8 years has completely and utterly changed. I think that's also something to remember. Your focus might change, and what you wanted as your big thing 7-8 years ago may no longer be your big thing now. So with the idea that my big thing in 2.5 years' time is to move to Portugal, I'm doing little things now to achieve the big thing. That's the whole point of this book, is that you need to concentrate on your big thing, but you break it down and do little things. So it's just goal achievement, really. But instead of all those little things being scattered and seeming unrelated, like posting on lots and lots of social media, what they actually are is they're very related to where you're going. So the reason I'm decluttering is because I want to get rid of a load of stuff, because the next place I own will be a lot smaller. I also want to declutter so that when this house goes up for sale, it looks neat, tidy, show homey. So at the same time, I've got the builder coming in, I've got my son helping as a labourer, and rooms are getting freshened up or even renovated, depending on what state they're in, so that whoever comes in has see something they can just move into that's a really nice house that's been worked on for years and years. I never knew renovation as a single parent would take so long. But that lack of a second income makes a huge difference to how quickly you can get things done. I like this colour. What else in the big thing is of importance? So they do say you can't multitask. Well, I'm trying to do that now by talking to you and doing my makeup. But what they mean is that you need to set aside blocks of time, what Gary means is, in the day where you just focus. And you focus on your one thing. So for example, if you think that becoming famous would help your business and therefore you're going to write a book or 2 or 3 or 4, you need to make that your priority. So that's the thing you do as soon as humanly possible, when your willpower and your energy levels are as high as humanly possible, and you do it for hours, not just a little bit here and there, but you sit down and you focus for 3-4 hours at a time, with a break for coffee, whatever, but not too many breaks. They've worked out that if we do a task for 11 minutes and then get distracted or take a break, it takes us a third of that time again to get back into what we were doing. So you obviously don't want to be having too many breaks, because that kind of defeats the point of focus. Also about having the right environment to do that in, so an office, a space that you use, and keeping that the same. And if you look at just generally, not business, but people who are creative, like writers, fiction writers, we're using a lot of writing examples here, probably because one day I want to write a book. They don't treat it like a hobby. No. They have, I think it's Stephen King, has a shed office in his garden every morning after he's done his exercise, his meditation, all the other things that most people seem to do. He goes to that shed and does writing, and then has lunch, and then goes back and does more editing and writing. And even if he's not feeling inspired that day, being in that environment is like a habit building, what would you call it? I'm trying to think of the word. Anyway, it's the thing that sort of triggers the thought process, because it's an environment that he's used to and he's used before, and it's therefore something that triggers all the thoughts and all the creativity. So it's about having the discipline to do that and creating systems that do that, and also knowing what's important and what isn't in your day. This is the one thing. So yes, you do have to answer emails. Yes, you do have to interact with colleagues. Yes, you do have to do X, Y, Z. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be done instantly when your energy levels are high, that most things can wait a few hours. So in other words, you do your big one thing. See, I just blew it again. You do your big one thing when you have the energy for it, and you do your more mundane tasks that are on this to-do list later. Makes absolute sense. Not the only person ever to have said that. Like I say, I'm not very disciplined and not very working towards these things, but then I suppose my big things now, like I say, are Portugal. Maybe doing these kind of videos, because I find them fun. I do actually find them fun. And just doing my general content. So my big thing, I suppose, would be to prepare for this video by reviewing a book that I've read, or going and finding a new book, and then obviously recording it and doing it, and then also getting some content done for the actual website and the actual members, and then just doing some general daily posts, and none of which seems particularly huge or priority or goal orientated, because my big thing now is Portugal. And I know that I've kind of in my head, and he does say it's better to write things down, and I would agree, that people who write their goals are nearly 40%, I think it's 39%, more likely to achieve them if they make a habit of writing things and reviewing things. So yeah, so I know that obviously I've got to declutter, sort the house, get it on the market, that type of thing. Also, I'm going to Portugal. I don't speak Portuguese. So my big thing at some point would be to learn Portuguese. Now, he does say, and this I can agree with, that the further away your goal is, the harder it is, you know, the more you minimize it and the more you think, oh, I've got time for that. And that would be true. Like renovating this house when 6-7 years ago, when I wasn't going to be going to live abroad for 10 years, getting this house sorted and decluttering was not a massive priority, as you can imagine. So now it's become one. So the closer you get to a goal, the more it becomes a priority. But then you can, if you're clever, give yourself like little stimuli in between, so it doesn't become this overriding, fairly horrendous thing that now you have to achieve and puts you in stress. And that's maybe where I kind of have fallen down in the past, is not doing that. So how do you find out what your big thing is if you don't know how to make your business successful, or what you really want to achieve? Maybe you don't want to write a business book. Maybe you don't want to be on a stage. Maybe that's not going to make any difference to your business. You're not that lofty and ambitious. So the other key hint in the book is, well, what has anyone else ever done that you admire, and follow the clues. So in other words, what did they do to get to where they are? Make sure they are successful and not just Facebook bragging, because that happens a lot. And you could be following someone who actually hasn't really achieved what you think they've achieved. They're just telling everyone they've achieved it, if that makes sense. So just be aware that people will post stuff that is true but isn't 100% true. You know, that little thing where we don't show people the bad, only the good. That also applies to business, not just personal life on social media. So, because obviously success is attractive to other people, so you don't want to tell people about your disasters, you want to talk about your success and the transformations that look amazing, not the transformations that never happened, or the new people that you welcome to your business, not all the people that left. So just be aware that that can happen on social media. But if you see people that you think, I want to follow their career path, and see what they did. But also see that it was a domino effect over time. That they didn't suddenly become internationally famous overnight. I know this can happen with things like TikTok and social media, but generally it doesn't happen for the majority. The majority, it's more of a slow curve to whatever they want to achieve, and it's this gradual knocking down of the dominoes till eventually they are where they are. I said that I met a lot of people back in 2012 who were nice people, but average, and are now probably at the top of their game in their area in the UK. Well, that's not overnight success. That's domino effect of a little thing every day towards the big thing. So that is important to remember. The other thing to remember is we cannot, as human beings, multitask. That was a thing that was created actually to refer to computers, not human beings. So we do need to focus. And if you do start focusing on a thing that is important to you for 3-4 hours a day, every day, you will eventually get there if it's the right path. So you do have to review, and your life will go out of balance. I remember when I was setting up this business and really focusing on the business, doing ridiculously long days, and my life went out of balance. You know, kids' life, normal life, eating properly, all went out of balance because you have a finite amount of time and energy for these things. Right, I think that is the big thing summarised. If I forgot anything, I apologise. It's just find your big thing, ask the right questions, follow the right people, kind of imitate what they do. Don't try to do too much. Balance is impossible, multitasking is impossible. Do the big thing first because it will actually mitigate all the other little things that aren't going to make a difference. So knowing that is like hugely important. And we will do another book next week. I'm just going to finish my makeup now. So that's it for you that are interested. That's the finished look. Bit pointless really, because I'm gonna go scrub the house over there as part of a big deep cleaning thing that I'm doing, and then I'm potentially going up into the loft to bring down Christmas decorations. So this is going to get all sweaty and messy.